Manchester United have lost 3-1 to relegation favourites Brentford. Brentford, whose manager was labelled a set-piece coach, having his 6th ever game as a professional manager, has tactically outschooled Ruben Amorim. Just let that sink in. Manchester United are not difficult to play against because they are predictable. Every manager knows how to play against Manchester United because they know that Ruben Amorim is going to do the same thing over and over again, even though it's not working. Even though Ruben Amorim has picked up 32 points in 35 games, which is relegation form, that's less points than Wolves, that's less points than West Ham, and with the promoted side looking better this season, if he continues at this rate, is going to get us relegated. Ruben Amorim has been at Manchester United a year, has lost 21 games, has not won back-to-back games in the Premier League. And while the players were a disgrace today, 1 game a week and the lack of intensity from the players was an absolute disgrace. Ruben Amorim not being signed a midfielder is clearly sin. The players were a disgrace. The players were making mistakes. The players were giving the ball away. The players were showing no intensity. Both can be correct. The players are a disgrace. The manager was a disgrace today. Let's start with the positives, okay? Because we can get this out of the way really quick. Let's start with the positives today. Sesko got a goal. Done. Boom. That's the positives. I hate to be negative. We've got to be real. I said I would give Ruben Amorim 10 Premier League games. I really can't give this man 10 Premier League games. I really can't. And do you know why I can't? It's the lineup. Why is Harry Maguire, first of all, playing over Lenny Yoro? First of all, why? Harry Maguire at fault for the goal. Oh, there's no pace in the back line. Luke Shaw, De Ligt, Maguire. I'm all for De Ligt and Maguire playing with Yoro, not with Luke Shaw. Back three horrific. Doga Dalot, atrocious today. However, I'm not going to give Dalot stick, and I'm not going to give Amorim stick for that, because there was no Mazraoui, there was no Amad Diallo. I get why Dalot played, but Dalot wasn't fit. And the reason I'm not giving Dalot stick is Dalot clearly was not fit. But Dalot was atrocious today. The back line was atrocious today. Baindy, I thought had a good first half, but actually that goal he should have saved. Why isn't Lemon starting? The third goal from Brentford is right at Baindy. You've signed the goalkeeper Amorim. Why aren't you starting him? Kobbie Mainoo, best player versus Manchester City. Agate plays. What has Agate done to start? We're playing Brentford. We don't need to be defensive. We need someone that can take care of the ball and control the ball. Because the best football we played, and I'm not saying it was good, it was all awful, but the best moments we had was just after Kobbie Mainoo came on the pitch and Yoro came on the pitch. We won a penalty, and I thought maybe the game would change. Because let's be honest, VAR is a disgrace. Nathan Collins should have been sent off. And Brentford should not have been allowed to make those 3 subs for the Bruno goal. The only reason I'm not banging on about VAR at the beginning of this video, and I'm not banging on about the decision at the beginning of this video, is because Manchester United was so bad, so atrocious, that a penalty and red card bailing us out and going home with a point wouldn't have told the full story. We were so atrocious that we deserved absolutely nothing from that game. We didn't deserve even a point from this game because Brentford absolutely dominated us. But a 6-minute wait, 4-minute VAR check for the most obvious red card and penalty ever. No red card given. If you're giving it as a penalty, it's a red card. I don't know why red card wasn't given. And then they let Brentford make 3 subs. Bruno's missed 2 penalties this season. It's been really disappointing from Bruno Fernandes. It's been a disappointing campaign from Bruno Fernandes. And I'm not for player power, but if you told me to pick a side, Bruno Fernandes or Ruben Amorim, I'd be picking Bruno Fernandes. Now, Bruno Fernandes should have been hooked off in today's game. Bruno Fernandes was atrocious. But why is the manager, first of all, playing Bruno Fernandes as a 6? Week in, week out, he's took the most creative player in the Premier League, statistically the best creator the Premier League's had over the last 5 years. Each season, he's taken the best creator in the Premier League and he's playing him as a 6 when he has no defensive awareness. So first of all, Bruno was atrocious, but why is he being made to play as a 6? That is on the manager. That is also on Ineos for not bringing in a 6, so Bruno has to play as a 6. Second of all, Bruno Fernandes, he missed the penalty. He was atrocious today. He was bad. But that's also on VAR and the refs. Why is there a 6-minute wait between Bruno and the penalty? I look at Manchester United, and I keep saying this. If Ruben Amorim isn't going to change what he's doing, Ruben Amorim will be sacked. Ruben Amorim needs to go to a 4-2-3-1, put Bruno in the 10, put Mainoo and Casemiro behind them, have, Mazraoui right back, Dorgu left back, De Ligt and Yoro centre backs, have Sesko up top, Cunha on the left and Boomer on the right. You've got Ahmad on the bench, you've got Sirks on the bench, you've got Mason Mount on the bench, you've got good options on the bench, bish, bash, bosh. That is what Ruben Amorim needs to do. That is how you'll get the best out of this Manchester United squad, because your way is not working. And instead of changing your way, Mason Mount, come on and play left wing back. Why don't you just go to a 4-3-3? You have to play Mbeumo and Mount at wing backs. Your wing back system isn't working. It's predictable. Glasner does it a lot better than you because Glasner adapts and he changes his tactics for this and he changes his tactics for that. Your wing-back system does not work. Xabi Alonso no longer plays a back five. Tuchel no longer plays a back five. Conte no longer plays a back five. The three most successful managers with a back five no longer play a back five. The manager that does play a back five uses his midfield completely different to you because everybody knows how to play it against United. And I saw Miller tweet something and I think she was spot on. Miller tweeted, Keith Andrews coaching his 6th managerial game in the Premier League and he knew the weakness of United and how to capitalise on it. Long balls, pressure on the back line, overload the middle and pass directly through them. 6th game in his managerial career, labelled a set-piece coach. He's managed 6 games in his career and he knew how to outdo Amorim and Man United. And I know how to outdo Amorim and Man United. I honestly think if you give me a good team and I told them to play a certain way against Manchester United, they probably cause Man United problems because look at Grimsby. If you overload the middle and go 3v2 in the middle against Man United, if you put pressure on the back line and you hit them with long balls, 9 times out of 10, you're going to beat or get a good result out of Manchester United. We were really good versus Fulham in the first half, really bad in the second half because Fulham did that. We were really good versus Burnley in the first half, really bad in the second half because Burnley did that. And when teams do that against us, Ruben Amorim still continues playing the same way. He doesn't adapt to, Pep would adapt in that situation. Arteta would adapt in that situation. All the best managers would see, okay, they've changed their tactic to do this to us. This is causing us issues. Rather than just keep going with this and making subs and hoping it works, I'm going to quickly change my system because this is causing us issues. Your system may have worked at Sporting, but this is the Premier League. You're coming up against better teams. It's got to be more adaptable. The minute people suss out your system, you need to make adaptations to your system to respond to that. It's not you're going to keep going with your system, even with all the right players, and it's going to work. People know how to play against you. Make minor tweaks in games. Because I'm going to be honest, a 3-man defence, we're conceding 3 goals. 5 at the back in a DM. Agate, we're conceding 3 goals to Brentford. Relegation favourite Brentfords. Euro should have started. Melo should have started. Lamens should have started for me. The only positive was Sesko, and that was the first half. The second half, I don't even think Sesko touched the ball. You can talk all about systems. Look, I'm aware the players were disgraced. I'm not blaming this all on Amorim. Both can be correct. The manager has been shocking. The players are shocking. Both is true. It's not changed the players and it will all work under Amorim, and it's not changed the manager and will be good all of a sudden. Both the players and both the manager are not good enough, and they were both a disgrace today. And VAR, every problem we know we had was shown today. VAR, the managers, the players, the system, the way that it works in the UK. Do you know what? I'm going to say this now. The squad wasn't great. The squad we lined up wasn't great, but it should be good enough to beat Brentford. It should be good enough to beat Brentford or give them a bit of this or give them a bit of that. Iriola, Marcus Silva, Eddie Howe, all available, all would have got a better result today and all would have got better out of these players. I'm going to be honest. Man United, the football playing was a disgrace. And some of it's down to the players. You can't blame Amorim about it all. You can't blame Amorim about this all. The heavy touches from the players, the decision-making from the players, the not winning the duels, the poor passes from the players, Bruno missing a penalty, Maguire making a mistake. Oh, don't get me wrong. This isn't on Ruben Amorim. This isn't a case of sacking Ruben Amorim and we're instantly amazing. It's just a case of, I think if we sack Ruben Amorim, we can be a lot more organised and a lot better. Still don't think we're going to be great. Still think we're going to be far off where we need to be. But the players are making awful decisions. And it's like this team is infectious. You come to Manchester United as a good player and all of a sudden you start making bad decisions. All of a sudden you start making a bad player. We can talk about systems all we want, but if the player can't win the duel, if the player can't play this pass, if the player can't score a penalty, if the player's making this mistake, then the players are just at fault. I don't want to sound like I'm going all in on Amorim. Amorim, I think, needs to go, but also these players were a disgrace. The thing that annoys me about Amorim, and the reason I'm so harsh on Amorim, is because he's made it very clear he's not going to change. So if we don't sack him now and we go and lose our next game to Sunderland, who are relegation 6-pointers at this point, and we go and lose to Sunderland, are we just delaying the inevitable if we sack him in January and we're in the relegation zone in January when we sack him? Have we just delayed the inevitable? Should we have sacked him sooner? Because I tried to be positive, look, guys, we're only a certain amount of points off here, we're only a certain amount of points off there, and we have this, that, and that. So I tried to be positive, but what I said in that video being positive is, but Brentford and Sunderland are the real test. These are the 2 teams we should beat. We should comfortably be beating. We should be getting 6 points. This is Ruben Amorim's chance to get 3 wins in a row. He hasn't even had 2 wins in a row as Manchester United manager. This is the test. And so far, Ruben Amorim has failed the test. And so far, Ruben Amorim has failed the test this season. And yes, he could be given more time. Yes, he hasn't been given his midfielder. But at the end of the day, you're a Manchester United. Since Graham Potter's come in the door, if Graham Potter picked up 20 points last season and Ruben Amorim picked up 90 points last season and Graham Potter gets sacked first, despite having a lot less money to spend, Man United have higher expectations than West Ham. And West Ham are sacking their manager. I don't like sacking managers. I don't like going through this loop of continually sacking managers. But I can't back a manager that was doing this to Meno, is playing Bruno as a 6 when he's not a 6. Is instead of changing his system, is playing Mount at left wing back, who's had 35 games and picks up 32 points and is not changing anything. We didn't deserve to be bailed out by the penalty. VAR shafted us over, the ref shafted us over, but we didn't deserve anything. It's not a case of, but if Maguire didn't make that mistake and Bruno scored, it's a different game. If you look at the game and you watch the 90 minutes, Brentford were the better team for 80 of those 90 minutes. Brentford deserved to win, even if we scored the penalty. Even if Maguire didn't make that mistake, Brentford were the better team. The football we played was bad. I'd love Amorim to succeed. I'd love Amorim to make it work. But as he said multiple times, Amorim's made it clear he's not going to change. And if Amorim's not going to change, you might as well sack him, because I think we're delaying the inevitable. And look, these players are disgraced, and they've thrown another manager under the bus, and they've done this and they've done that. One game a week, and that's the intensity we get from the players. Absolute disgrace. Don't get me wrong. But the manager, the decisions, why did Agate start? Why didn't Euro start? I'm not going to turn on Bruno because of one poor game, because I know that he always turns up and saves us in the end. But why is he using Bruno Fernandes as a 6? I think he needs to go. I think Ruben Amorim needs to go. And I don't think that solves everything. I think these players are a disgrace. But I just think the manager has run out of ideas. And I just don't trust him. And I want it to end this way because I want him to work. I don't want another manager. I'm fed up with it. Who's on the market? Not many good options. But that was bad. From the players, from the manager, from the referees. That was shocking. I mean, and I said, things aren't that bad when you look at our underlying numbers, but the real test is the Sunderland and Brentford, because they're teams that we need to beat. And if we don't beat them, that is the real test.